Hello there, and welcome. My name is Alexander, and you're listening to Another Realization. Cognitive dissonance is a mental discomfort resulting from incongruent and conflicting views of reality that are held by a person simultaneously. And because of people's preference towards consistency, this conflict causes feelings of unease and discomfort, especially when beliefs that someone holds are contradicted by new and opposing information. And people attempt to relieve this tension in different ways, such as by rejecting, explaining away, or avoiding new information altogether. Because a person has identified themselves with their beliefs, they have made it part of their identity in this reality, it activates an emotional response to a threat, because this new information is compromising your comfort zone and puts you in a threatened position, because ultimately your identity is being compromised. And this identity is your very foundation for life, which is why it makes the person feel threatened and cause them to disregard any rational evidence that contradicts what they previously regarded as the truth. Still, deep down, they recognize that the evidence is accurate, which in essence epitomizes a paradox. So you are basically holding two contradictory thoughts in your mind simultaneously, when you can clearly see evidence to the contrary. Taking the ideology of statism, for instance, if you ask someone if it's right to extort and rob your own neighbor and threaten them with physical violence and coercion if they do not want to be robbed, people intrinsically understand that it's wrong and that no one is exempt from that, whilst simultaneously believing that their neighbours should be extorted and violently coerced in the name of taxation and arrest by governments, which are mere euphemisms for extortion and violent coercion, which is why it is called government, from the Latin verb gubernare, which means to control, and the Latin noun mens, which means mind. Not only do they seek control over your life, but they firmly control your mind by your fervent belief in it. Enter statism, the brilliant idea that we give a small group of people the right to kidnap, imprison, harass, steal from and kill people so that we can be protected from people who kidnap, harass, steal from and kill people. Once again, not a glimpse of rationality, let alone consistency. The same way that some people subscribe to the ideology of postmodernism, which is the idea that truth is dependent on opinion and perception, and that there is really no objective truth to anything in existence. Well, a question I have pertaining to that is that true? Yes, that is true. But you just said that there was no such thing as objective truth. Once again, the obvious inconsistency. The same goes for the way most people view animals. The view of most people is that it is perfectly justifiable to murder a cow or pig because they have no consciousness, or aren't even considered to be living creatures at all, but they are looked at as things. Well, when you ask them, do you love your cat? Yes, I love my cat. Well, does your cat love you? Yes, my cat loves me. Well, that is astonishing. So your cat is capable of loving? Yes. And they are an animal, right? Yes. Well, so are cows, pigs and chickens, right? Well, yes. So how is it that one species of animal is capable of having feelings and emotions, which indicates a sentient being, while other animals do not have that capability? This biased view towards other creatures is what some have also referred to as speciesism. Well, just because one species of animal is easily controlled and will let you do what you want to them more easily, like a dog, contrary to a cow who probably doesn't like to be treated that way, this does not determine whether one being is sentient or not. The essence of individual life is not determined by human perception or bias. These ideologies are completely inconsistent with themselves, the same way people are inconsistent with themselves, which indicates a dissonance in mind, i.e. cognitive dissonance, which triggers vigorous antagonism when they are confronted with it. Now, today, this isn't very hard to find, as many have already come to realize when you try to explain something rational to someone. But we must be wary of the fact that this is only a natural reaction and a temporary reaction. When you are sound asleep, a very lethargic sleep, the deepest REM stage of your sleep, let's say, and someone comes into your room and stands next to you and turns on a 600 megawatt light bulb, your very first and natural reaction is to turn away from the light. It is only a normal reaction, but then you are going to be very aggravated. You're going to be very upset because somebody purposefully came into your room while you were sleeping and turns on a light source right in front of you. What are you doing that for? When someone tries to educate you and you are sound asleep, you've never looked at anything and you don't know much of anything. You just live from one day unto the next like everyone else, not questioning anything, and someone comes into your life whom is highly educated on a subject and begins to talk with you about something you've never heard before. All of a sudden it dawns on you that he or she is correct about what they're saying, and once again the person being talked to has never heard it before. Therefore, you wake up. You've woken up because there is a bright light, and the bright light in this case is the bright person who has educated you. And obviously, it is not funny to be woken up out of your sleep in that way, because you're waking up to the fact that you've been asleep all your life perhaps, and it has finally dawned on you, as in the sun coming up and shining light into your life, something that you didn't know has finally dawned on you. It is because people can turn away from one source of light to stay in the dark, in which people are still in the dark, from whence they are in the dark about it. But when light is not struck from one source, but from various sources, it becomes almost impossible to avoid, which is alluding to the fact that the key to awakening people is to shine light everywhere they can go, by making the truth omnipresent, common sense, and impossible to avoid, until it is spoken everywhere, until there is truth galore, and not a moment before. The state of discomfort is prominent, but only temporary. When you are walking outside and you think it's not going to be a long walk until you get to your destination, i.e. you think you know almost everything there is to know, and you find out that the walk is miles to come, the uncomfortable thought of having to walk another few miles. But as you keep on walking and accept the fact that you have to walk the many miles, otherwise you won't get to your destination, when you accept the fact that you don't know enough and you plow through and trot on and learn, you start seeing, well, it wasn't actually that hard, and now I'm almost at my destination. Discomfort is only temporary. When your eyes are very used to darkness, your pupils are very dilated. But as soon as you are struck by a light source, your pupils become constricted, which is painful, albeit for a few seconds. You've been in a very dark room and you go outside and your eyes hurt. That's the constriction of your eyes. It is painful at the beginning, but it will benefit you at the end. The truth may seem uncomfortable at first, but it will shine light into your life like never before.